Hello, in this section I will talk about anesthetic management of a patient with acute burn injury. So the role of anesthesiologist in patient with acute burn starts right from initial resuscitation to post-op pain management. We have a multifocal, let's say, interventions which we do in these patients for their stabilization in the initial period. We do the perioperative management for different surgeries that they are posted for. Then we have a huge role in their ICU management of these patients as well, and also in post-op pain management. So our role is multifocal. So we will discuss everything in this section, right from what are the important precautions that we have to take in pre-anesthetic evaluation of these patients, what are the important precautions that we have to take in fluid management of these patients, and also I would talk a little bit about the changes in the cardiovascular physiology which happens in the burn patient. So all these things I would discuss in detail. So I told you that in acute burn injury, the role of anesthesiologist is multifocal. So our role is in initial resuscitation. It starts with initial resuscitation. Then we have a huge role in airway management. Then intraop anesthesia care, of course, intraop anesthesia care, and definitely after intraop anesthesia care, in post-op intensive care management, ICU management, and also in post-op pain management, right? Pain management. So we have to look these patients at multiple places. So let's start our discussion that whenever a patient with acute burn injury is posted for some surgery, what are the important precautions that we have to, what are the important things that we have to see in pre-anesthetic evaluation? So what are important special attention in pre-anesthetic evaluation? So whenever a burn patient is posted for any surgery, the first thing which we need to see in the patient is the extent of burn injury and its severity, because major burn has some severe implication on the physiology of the cardiovascular physiology of the patient, and we need to consider them before taking these patients. So what I am trying to say that we have to estimate the burn area. So if it is major burn. So how do we define the major burn? Major burn is defined as full thickness burn, full thickness burn more than 10% of total body surface area, or partial thickness burn more than 25% of total body surface area. This is defined as major burn. And if someone has major burn, then it causes intense physiological and inflammatory response. Physiological and inflammatory response, right? So this intense physiological and inflammatory response would affect our anesthesia care at multiple places, because this will affect the anesthetic management it will affect our anesthetic management, it will affect our fluid management, it will also affect our drug dosing, because drug dosing is also affected by it, and also it will affect the temperature regulation, right? So all these things we have to consider. Then how do we calculate the percent total body surface area involved in the burn patient? By a simple modified Lund-Brauer chart. So this is a modified Lund-Brauer chart, and this should be attached in every burn ward. This will help us in calculating the total body surface area involved in a burn patient, and we have to look also that it is a full thickness burn or partial thickness burn, right? So once we have calculated the burn area and the severity, we would have an idea whether it is a severe burn or not. Okay, the next important thing when we are assessing a burn patient is to assess the airway of the burn patient. Now visible airway problems can be seen in these patients, and invisible problems of the airway because of inhalational injury would be seen in these patients. So we have to assess it for both. So we have to assess the airway for all possible difficulty. So we have to assess the airway for possible difficulty due to oropharyngeal tissue injury, oropharyngeal tissue injury or edema, and we have to see the signs of inhalational injury and/or signs of inhalational injury. Very important. We have to consider for inhalational injury. So, possible difficulty due to oropharyngeal tissue injury, we can visibly inspect the face of the patient. We need to see around the mouth and the face the extent of burned injury. We have to see the neck of the patient for the extent of burn injury. So we have to see the face, we have to see around mouth, we have to see the neck of the patient, how much these areas are involved in burn injury, right? And then we have to see the signs for inhalational injury. So what would be the signs of inhalational injury? If the patient is having persistent cough, right? If patient is having persistent cough, if patient is having blistering or edema of the oropharynx, if stinging, let's say stinging of the hair of the nasal mucosa can be visibly seen. So persistent cough, blister around oropharynx, then stinging of the nasal hair, all these things we have to look for. And ABG, we always have to get an ABG done. So if ABG abnormality, right, ABG abnormality, saturation of the patient, the PaO2, PCO2 level of the patient would also tell us about the inhalational injury or carbon monoxide poisoning if that is happening in the patient, right? So, and you know, these are the visible things which we will see. Number of time we get the patient after resuscitation, and overzealous resuscitation can lead to airway edema also. So if visible airway injury is not seen, but patient is a burn patient post resuscitation, you have to assess the airway for airway edema as well, right? So airway edema due to overzealous fluid resuscitation, right? Okay, and late procedures on burn patient. Burn patient can also come for late procedures with development of contracture, neck contracture, oral contracture, bands, fibrous bands, that can also make the airway difficult. So we have to look for all those things if the patient is coming after an interval for any surgery, right? Okay, now we have to, after airway assessment, the next important thing that we need to assess the patient is cardiovascular assessment. Now burn patient, they have two status. They, according to the duration post burn, their cardiovascular system is in two status: the initial resuscitative state and late recovery state. So we call it low cardiac output or ebb phase, which is also called resuscitative phase. Right? This is the resuscitative phase. Or high cardiac output flow phase, this is called recovery phase. So let us compare what is in resuscitative phase, what happens in recovery phase. In low cardiac output or ebb phase, which is around first 48 hours after major burn, right? First 48 hours after major burn, the cardiac output can decrease by more than 60%. So cardiac output decreases by 60%. Now, why is this happening? This is happening because of hypovolemia due to increased tissue permeability as a result of burn injury. So, this is happening because of hypovolemia, initial hypovolemia. This is happening because of tissue permeability. This causes plasma loss. And this is also happening due to reduced response to the myocardium, to catecholamine. So initial phase, the catecholamine, the response is less. So reduced response to catecholamine, and this is also happening, the SVR is increasing. The SVR increases because of vasopressin, increased vasopressin. So initially post-burn,